So it's going to be a busy week, and with just days to go, the battle to be Ontario's next premier is in really the final stretch, and now clearly seems to be between left and right. Liberal support started to collapse some time ago. Even Kathleen Wynne is now saying so out loud. Our Natalie Collada was watching all three leaders today to see what else they're saying.
Ontario's election campaign is now down to the last 3 days, but it's clear there are only two main contenders, and each have a very simple message: don't vote for the other one.
We can't go back to the past. We can't let the NDP double down on failed Liberal policies.
Doug Ford doesn't need to be kept in check after Election Day. He needs to be defeated on Election Day.
They're now just targeting each other directly after Kathleen Wynne conceded this weekend that she won't be Ontario's premier after the election. Her job now trying to stave off disaster, keeping the Ontario Liberals from losing official party status. Today, desperately campaigning in her own riding.
I am running hard. I am going to work hard to get these good Liberals elected.
According to research firm President Greg Lyle, it could still go either way.
And at this point, it looks like whoever wins that battle for the middle class is going to be the party in power.
And both leaders today making their pitches to win that battle.
You can choose the NDP and watch hundreds of thousands of people lose their jobs and go on welfare. Or you can choose our PC team and vote for an era of prosperity, the likes of which Ontario has never seen before.
Make no mistake, Doug Ford will make life harder for people. And he'll do it to pay for tax breaks for the rich.
How will it all play out? We'll find out on Thursday.
Honestly, it's too close to tell.
Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, let's take a look at the latest numbers on our poll tracker. The NDP do have a slight lead over the Tories of 1 percentage point. And despite getting a bit of a bump, the Liberals continue to trail badly. Doug Ford's Conservatives are still, at this stage, and with our poll tracker, projected to win a majority government. The CBC poll tracker is, of course, maintained by our polls analyst, Eric Grenier. He joins me now. All right, Eric, is it possible for the NDP to actually form government at this stage?
It absolutely is still possible. They're in a strong position in the polls, even if their vote distribution might not get them more seats at this stage. But key will be if the Liberal vote will stay with the Liberal Party. Kathleen Wynne conceded this weekend that she wasn't going to form a government, but we know from an Abacus data poll that was out today that about 3/4 of Liberal voters prefer the NDP over the PCs in terms of forming government. So if those Liberal voters decide that they're not going to stick with the party, that they will instead go over to the NDP, that would be absolutely key for Andrew Horwath on Thursday night.
Okay, in spite of what we're seeing on the poll tracker there with the NDP edging up a bit, the Progressive Conservatives do have an advantage. What is it?
Well, they have an advantage in their vote efficiency. They simply have a better base of support in the GTA where there are a lot of seats. And so that could get them a majority government, even if they fall just short of the NDP in the popular vote. They also have some structural advantages, the fact that their supporters tend to be older and older people tend to vote. And polls show that their supporters are much more engaged than the supporters of other parties. But 4 years ago in 2014, the same thing was happening in the polls, and they ended up underperforming all of their polls. So we shouldn't take it as a given that they will outperform on election night.
Okay, let's leave it then with back to Kathleen Wynne. Best, worst case scenario for the Liberals at this stage, Eric?
Well, they need to win 8 seats to get official party status in the Ontario legislature. That will be tricky. And the fact that we saw Kathleen Wynne today campaigning in her own riding is a pretty stark suggestion that they think that they're going to have some trouble winning even 8 seats on election night.
Okay, Eric Grenier, it's going to be an exciting night for us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Now, while Wynne's concession yesterday was surprising, maybe it isn't actually unparalleled in provincial politics. Get this, in 2001, BC's NDP Premier, Ujjal Dosanjh, remember him? He was in a similar position.
I know I'm going into this election as an underdog. I think I know how David must have felt when he saw Goliath.
Goliath, in this case, was BC Liberal leader Gordon Campbell.
The end of the NDP era is finally in sight.
Pollsters said the race was all over before it even began. The Liberals were 49 points ahead of the NDP when the two leaders went head-to-head in their first debate. Dosanjh conceded there was no way he could win.
I know I'm going into the opposition. I want to have a contingent of New Democrats to hold Mr. Campbell's feet to the fire.
And anticipating huge losses for his party, he asked voters not to split the vote on the left by voting for the Greens over the NDP.
A vote for Ujjal Dosanjh would help ensure a strong opposition, a voice of experience, who will never be missing in action.
His pleas didn't work, though.
They wanted to throw us out, and I accept that.
Gordon Campbell's Liberals won all but 2 seats, and the NDP was stripped of official party status.